Listen, there is something about autism that almost no one tells you. When people hear that word, most still picture obvious signs, extreme behaviors, something easy to spot. But psychology reveals a different reality, especially in adults. The traits don't scream, they whisper, and they go unnoticed for years, not because they aren't there, but because they get mistaken for personality. You grew up hearing the same phrases: too quiet, too sensitive, too intense, different, and you learned to adapt, to watch others, to mimic what seemed normal, to hide the discomfort behind a smile that took a heavy toll. But behind that adaptation lies a pattern. Autism is a spectrum, and that means it can show up in ways you would never imagine. Disguised as everyday habits, as quirks you thought were just yours. Today, you will understand 10 of these habits. 10 signs that seem normal, but depending on their intensity, frequency, and the weight they carry, could be linked to the autism spectrum. And first things first, this isn't a diagnosis. These are patterns observed in psychology. What truly defines any condition is a professional evaluation. 1. The need for predictability. It's not about liking routines, it's needing them so you don't fall apart. When everything is predictable, the brain can breathe. When something changes without warning, it crashes. It's not stubbornness, it's a system trying to survive in a world it doesn't quite know how to read. 2. Sensory sensitivity. Sounds, lights, smells, textures. What's just a detail to you is an invasion to this mind. The brain doesn't filter, it absorbs everything. A clothing tag can be a silent torture. It's not an exaggeration. It's real sensory overload. 3. Direct communication. This mind doesn't play the social game. It wants truth, clarity without hidden layers. Irony, dropping hints, sarcasm, ambiguity, all of that requires a kind of reading that doesn't happen automatically. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's a brain wired for the literal that gets lost in the subtext. 4. Intense focus. When something captures this mind, it doesn't just get interested, it dives in. Hours disappear, days blur. It's not just curiosity, it's an immersion so deep that the outside world ceases to exist. And when you finally snap out of it, the exhaustion hits. 5. Social burnout. Every interaction is invisible labor, decoding expressions, calibrating your tone, knowing when to speak, when to stay quiet. For someone on autopilot, it's natural. For this mind, it's like running a heavy software program all day long. That's why the silence afterward isn't isolation, it's recovery. 6. Rituals and patterns, movements, gestures, habits that might look meaningless from the outside. On the inside, they are anchors. The body trying to regulate itself when the mind is on high alert. It's not an obsession. It's the nervous system trying to keep from breaking down. 7. Struggling with sudden changes. When the script gets thrown out, this mind doesn't improvise, it freezes. The brain needs time to reorganize, and when everything shifts too fast, that time simply isn't there. What looks like rigidity is actually a desperate attempt to keep the ground from shaking. 8. Processing emotions. You feel everything. You feel too much. But naming that feeling is a different story. The emotion hits like a tidal wave, and the person is caught inside it, not knowing exactly what it is. On the outside, they look cold, distant, indifferent. On the inside, it's someone quietly drowning. 9. Attention to detail. While others see the forest, this mind sees every vein on every leaf. Patterns, inconsistencies, things no one else notices. It's a genuine cognitive superpower. But it's also exhausting, because seeing everything means feeling everything, and the world becomes too loud, too crowded, too heavy. But seeing it all comes at a price, because those who see too much feel too much. And when you feel too much, you start to wonder where you fit in. 10. The feeling of not belonging. Since childhood, without any explanation, as if everyone else got a manual on how to live in society, and somehow yours got lost in the mail. Watching, trying to decode it all, pretending to understand, and carrying that feeling of being a stranger in your own life, in silence, every single day. None of these signs alone defines anything. What psychology looks at is the big picture, the intensity, the real-life impact. And that's why so many people go decades without realizing it. Because they learn to adapt so well that they don't even feel the toll it takes anymore. But that toll exists. It costs you dearly. And it collects its debt in silence. Understanding this isn't about slapping on labels. It's about stopping the habit of treating a different way of existing as a weakness. Because this isn't a flaw, it's a difference. Now tell me, how many of these 10 habits did you identify with? Drop the number down below and let me know, when did you realize you were different? I'll see you in the next video.